Thank you for tuning in today for another episode of Economics News. Today we're focusing on smartphones. You have one in your pocket probably. It does your phone, it does your email, it does your internet. But have you looked at the market recently? While the smartphone market has hundreds of different firms in it, the number of firms matters less than the condition of power in the market. Economics look to see how concentrated a market is based on the market share to determine how much influence a handful of firms can have on the total market's prevailing prices and quantity, and that can have a huge effect on consumers. We looked at data from Strategy Analytics, which details the smartphone units shipped by each of the top firms in the global market 2013, as well as the totals for this market. By dividing an individual firm's production by the total, we can get its market share, as shown in our next chart. These market shares can be used to calculate important metrics on the concentration of the market. One such market is the I4 index, which looks at the market shares of the top 4 firms in the market. Here, those firms are Samsung, Apple, Huawei, which is HTC, and LG, respectively. Adding up their market shares gives us an I4 index of 57.7%. That means the top 4 firms control over half of the total market's production, which signals a highly concentrated market. Another such metric is the Herfindahl-Hirschman index, known as the HHI. This index takes the summation of the squares of the top 50 firms in the market. While the only data publicly available for the top 5 firms, if you want the rest of the data, you have to pay several $1,000s for an analytics company to give it to you. A partial HHI constructed by only these top 5 firms is 1353.75. As one of our analysts will describe to you later, the threshold that most government organizations look to is 1,500 to determine if a market is somewhat concentrated. It's then important to look at how these firms behave to preserve their market shares and profits. A key way firms in this technology market preserve their own profits and their market shares is through patents. And with that, I'll send it over to Tyler Morgan, who will describe the patent market and the patent fight between the companies in this market.
Thanks, Brendan. A patent is an exclusive right granted for an invention to the inventor by the Patents Office, which allows the inventor legal claim to the invention for a limited period. Basically, patents refer to inventions. They are part of intellectual property, which is a legal way to protect all creations of the human mind. There are several reasons why patents are important. Firstly, patents provide incentives to the individuals. In particular, the inventors deserve recognition for their creativity and material reward for their marketable inventions. The incentives encourage innovation, which ensures that the quality of human life is enhanced. Protection stimulates research, which results in technological development. It enables the inventor to recoup their investment for the money and time spent developing the ideas in research and development. Lastly, the use of patent documents enables future researchers not to reinvent the wheel. Patents can be very important, both for the individual inventor whose rights are protected and for the economy. Patent laws can ensure that no one is able to take unfair advantage of the work and ideas of other inventors. Patents can help ensure that businesses and individuals work to create new ideas, which can help provide an important boost for the economy by helping to encourage innovation. Now, as of July 2012, Apple and Samsung made more than half of the smartphones sold worldwide. Naturally, these born-to-be rivals needed to find a way to get an edge on one another. Patents were their answer. In spring of 2011, Apple began litigating against Samsung in patent infringement suits, which eventually turned into the well-known smartphone patent wars. By July 2012, the two companies were still embroiled in more than 50 lawsuits around the globe, with billions of dollars in damages claimed between them. The war continues in the courtroom to this day regarding claims that Samsung stole the design and feel of Apple products. But the real question is whether or not this dispute is good for innovation, which is something patents are supposed to promote. With Apple and Samsung controlling such a large share of the market, it would be interesting to see what a merger between them would look like. It begs the question, would a merger between these two giants allow them to reallocate their resources to better innovation? And with that, I send it off to Shah to discuss a potential merger.
Thanks, Tyler. Earlier today, the media has been flooded with rumors of a potential merger between two tech company giants, Apple and Samsung. Apple and Samsung have by far the largest share of the market for smartphones. Last year alone, Apple controlled 15.5% and Samsung controlled 32.3%. Many of you will be familiar with their products, which include the iPhone and Galaxy S4. Now, this potential merger has Wall Street abuzz. If successful, the merger could provide huge gains in the stocks of both companies and have significant impact on the consumers. Looking at the raw data, their combined market share would be 47.8%. That is almost half the smartphone market. It appears that this decision would be both good or bad depending on the motives of the two companies and whether the government will allow them to proceed. Though they are neither confirming or denying that talks are underway, the two firms have a long history of competition in the market. Many people believe that the innovations of the new phone models stem from research and development in the companies in order to be the latest and greatest to outdo one another. An employee of Apple who does not wish to be identified believes that this is a great opportunity to learn from one another in order to incorporate the best of both platforms, since the hardware and software are unique to both parties. However, other companies in the market are not as optimistic. LG, HTC, and Nokia all vehemently oppose the rumored merger as an attempt to push them out of the market entirely. An Apple-Samsung merger could lower the cost of production for the two firms and make it easier to sell to the larger market. They could also potentially collude to set higher prices for consumers. Even though this is considered legal, it would have been done under the books if at all. Last night, as this news broke on Washington, politicians were hesitant to speak before the merger talks were confirmed. However, both sides of the aisle expressed concern. When asked, Senator Blumenthal, a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee from Connecticut, had this to say. Let's take a look.
The basic principle here is really pretty simple. Consumers and employees fighting for fundamental rights against giant corporations deserve their day in court. Corporations that take advantage of people should be held accountable.
Thank you, Senator. Though nothing is written in stone yet, it has become apparent that a merger of this size and scope would definitely be placed under heavy scrutiny. Well, that's all from me now. Here's Rodrigo Souza.
Thank you, Shad. Now let's move on to talk about Project Ara. Google's new modular smartphone concept could reshape the entire mobile landscape. Modules for this new phone could be swapped from phone to phone, including different size cameras with high resolution. The screen's battery, Bluetooth, wireless, and other customizable components can be replaced with no hassle to the consumer. Project Ara has a certain I-am control appeal for its consumers. Its modular design could reshape not just how phones are used, but how they're made too. It's an audacious undertaking, and we'll see if Ara will deliver on its promises. But its potential goes well beyond fixing broken screens. In theory, with the modules, everything works with everything. Ara's endoskeleton, the chassis that holds the modular components together, is said to last for 5 to 6 years. This would not only give consumers the ability to swap old components for new ones, but also switch from carrier to carrier by simply swapping in a module. We are all eager to see what this new phone can bring to the market and the competition it will create to the already competitive Apple-Samsung battle. This is all for tonight with Economics News. This is Rodrigo Souza. Have a good night, UConn.